Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to, I guess, another World Situation Report. It's been a little crazy today and pretty much all night last night, and I'm about to tell you why. So let's talk for a minute about this 9/9/2024. It's been touted all over various social media channels, Q clock channels, and it appears that they're all excited about this day for some reason. And I've been trying to figure out why today for quite a while. And I talked a little bit with some other people, and they say 9 represents this and 9 represents that, but finally came clear this morning as to what they were looking for. So apparently, every 1,000 or a few thousand years or so, there is a gate that they believe is going to open. Now, in our past, throughout history, this gate has been known for the last few thousand years anyway as Solomon's Gate. And it's known as Solomon's Gate is because a few calendars ago, this was the day that Solomon first, I guess you would say, was permitted, because I'm going to use the word permitted, to open a gateway over in Israel to allow his demons in. There are lots of books out there, such as the Testaments of Solomon, and I'm not speaking of the ones in the Bible, that talk about Solomon's Gate and him talking to all the demons and what can the demons offer him. Well, that happened on this day, apparently, for him. And so the deep state is looking for some demons. On the one side, their Order of the Dragon has decided to place what they believe is the chair of Solomon, apparently near the Mount of Olives, in a place called Gethsemane, which is also written about in the Bible. And for those of you that don't know, Gethsemane is allegedly the place where Jesus had prayed before he was crucified. So they believe that this is a perfect opportunity to put this chair in this location and to play a round of Pindar picking. Thus far, at the time of this recording, there has been about 178 people that have sat in that chair in hopes of their body being inhabited by a demon through a portal that no longer exists there and a gateway that no longer exists. And so they would like to have a demon crawl up into somebody's body who they believe is qualified for whatever reason or another. This will then give them the power and I guess some access or some control of an AI system that also really doesn't exist anymore, called Omega. It is limping on its last legs, but this kind of goes along with the theme, for these people of very little information is dangerous. There was a little bit of an uptick in the Middle East over the last couple of days. Some more war activity, I guess you would say, in hopes of raising the interest of some demons that will come back to Earth. And, of course, then we would be flooded with demons, and they would all be inhabiting, of course, their chosen ones' bodies, apparently, and all will be right with the world from that point on for them. That's what they think. In reality, what this would have done in the past was that Omega would have generated some pseudo-demons because they're AI generated, and they would have inserted them, or Omega would have inserted them into our holographic world. Now, in order to have achieved this task, they would have had to have what I call level 9 authority. So they know the deep state has limited knowledge of level 9, as we've talked about in the past. And the level 9 authority could have only come from a cooperative effort between anti-source and Omega, which would have then allowed for these things to happen. Well, we don't have an anti-source anymore. We barely have an Omega that doesn't have any power really as it relates to bringing things through into our world where we live from whence it came. And that portal doesn't actually exist anymore. So there's going to be a lot of disappointment and a lot of disappointed people when they find this out. Now, disappointed people. Let's talk about disappointed people. So apparently, on the new moon, which occurred a few days ago, on the new moon, the Order of the Dragon had made a lot of lofty promises based on the fact that their meetings were due to start, on the new moon, and that within 3 days of that new moon, they would, of course, get some orders and instructions. God knows where they were waiting for them from. And, of course, along with that would come a lot of money. Now, since that didn't happen, that angered a lot of people. A lot of governments were angry. So the party that then started wheeling and dealing around the world would be what's left of the Order of the Black Dragon, based out of Japan. So the Order of the Black Dragon has been wheeling and dealing and said behind the scenes is what they're talking about is that they should be the ones to control the demons that are going to come through this gateway, and they have been planning an operation. I'm sorry, I can't help but laugh. They have been planning an operation to steal control of the gate once it opens. So there's a big fight, whether these people know it. I don't know which side, depending on which side, whether you're on the golden booty side, sitting in a Solomon's chair trying to get control of demons, or you are on the Black Dragon side in Japan, and their side of stealing the gate and getting control of the demons. But both sides are going to be very disappointed come midnight Eastern Standard Time today when they figure out that there is no gate and there was nothing to be had there. And then they're probably going to roll on to another day. I mean, why not, right? We have a full moon yet to come, a harvest moon here. We also have the equinox coming up on the 22nd Eastern Time. There's always a day ending in Y where they can go around in another circle. But it appears that the Japanese Black Dragon has been quite busy in his negotiations. There are deals going on with the Chinese government, where if the Chinese government can throw out the Order of the Dragon from there and their influence, aka the Rothschild family and the Lee family, then they would be willing to help China with their BRICS currency, which, of course, once they get a hold of the gate and all of that. So, since they're now going to be in power and control of all these demons, then they believe that they will have control over the financial system or Omega, or Omega's coming back. Who knows what their ancient texts say. But they do believe that they will now be in control. And so they've been wheeling and dealing for the last several days with many different countries, China being one. So for China's cooperation and kicking out the Order of the Black Dragon, then they will go ahead and help them launch the BRICS currency with their AI that doesn't exist. They also believe that they will now be in power. And they have also been negotiating with a group I call the Nazi Party here in America. You would know them as the Trump team. Republican Party, operatives from the secret space program that are on that side. So anybody left from Umbrella or Monarch, and they keep promoting themselves to different divisions. So who knows who is with what these days. And they apparently have agreed behind the scenes in the last few days to a 60-40 split of control of the United States dollar. Now, this apparently has angered a number of people because they would like to be in 100% control. But apparently Team Trump has agreed to give up 60% control of the United States dollar. If they agree, and for their part, if they're 40% control and share of the dollar, they agree to, number one, make sure that Trump gets into the White House. Number two, they also have to agree that the dollar would remain the world's trade currency, and that they would run several operations against BRICS behind the scenes, while negotiating with the BRICS folks at the same time, in order to ensure the dollar's dominance in the world. So they agreed. They would, of course, love to own 40% of the financial system of the world. Ego is a terrible thing. And therefore, they've been selling off pieces of America everywhere. It's really not their country to sell, but why not? Now, the Treasury Department is obviously in on this. Treasury Department, as you know, is a Black Sun, Black Dragon run organization. And they are collecting, and they have gone to places. I've gotten phone calls from Iran, Iraq. I've gotten phone calls from the Philippines, Indonesia, a couple of countries throughout the African continent as well, that currently hold supernotes. And just a quick reminder, a supernote is where they take an allocation number and they print several notes with the same allocation number. Now, when you do that, the financial system will not allow the duplicates into the system. So all of these different parties that hold all these supernotes have been trying to cash them for years. The American generals that are involved in that would be Admiral Fogel, General Beasley, and a few others, and they call it Project Becky. I believe also General Darden is involved and some others, and you can look up these lovely gentlemen's names. And so they believe that there's somewhere around, $20 to $40 trillion worth of supernotes that have been placed around the world, and that they would agree to cash them in for the new United States dollar. Okay, so they also agree, apparently, this Black Dragon folk agree that they're going to issue a new United States dollar. Now, they must be listening to our broadcast because they have come to the realization if they are going to have a new United States dollar, it can't be just solely digital, that they would have to also have a physical currency in order to achieve this task. So on that note, they have been working together with some folks to get some printing plates so that they can take over printing from the Federal Reserve of the United States dollar. Now, remember, the Federal Reserve is the Order of the Dragon. So, the Order of the Dragon and this Black Dragon folk here are at odds with each other at the moment for world domination. But there are a lot of rumors that are being created because of this, some of them in the alternative media and some of them in the mainstream media. So I'd like to take a moment and talk about those because now you understand the backstory behind all of the rest of the information that is being flooded out toward you. Number one, there'll be a market crash. Number 2, the emergency broadcasting system is going to go off. Number 3, we will have martial law by tomorrow morning. Number 4, I'm sorry, I can't help but laugh because this is funny to me. This is all very funny to me. There'll be Nasara Jasara is about to start. The global currency reset is going to happen. And these are all the things that they're promising everyone. Well, and not to say that I'm against people having some kind of income or anything if they were really going to pay you. Now, remember and keep in mind, these people are the same people that were in control or ran security for the financial system for the last, since its inception. So, maybe a century or more since the world started using some kind of currency, be it coins on a string or, gold going back and forth from boat to boat, place to place via the Templars and the receipts they used to hand out, or physical currency, and then eventually it's just papers and fiat nowadays. So as far as these rumors are concerned, I anticipate by this evening, midnight or so, they'll still be looking for the gate, possibly for the next, day or two, who knows, until they finally resolve to the fact that there is no gate, and they'll move on to the next date, of course. The one thing that this does is it allows, another face. So the Black Sun and the Black nobility in Italy, has been kind of towing the line for a while now, and they've failed several times as well. And so has the quote unquote Nazi party is what I'm calling them, because this appears like an Axis powers kind of thing. The Japanese and the Nazis won the war, took over America. I don't know. That's what this whole thing looks like from behind the scenes. But without any kind of an Omega access, their blockchain is not going to cut it. They can't create a currency with blockchain. The Japanese do have some other technologies that they think could work. There's no way in God's green earth that those supercomputers are going to fly. Matter of fact, they've been glitching all day. They pretty much know that the connections are not being established anymore. And they've been working really hard at it. So, God bless them. However, you've all been lied to. That's the bottom line. The deep state has been lied to. But you're seeing some interesting things come out in mainstream media as well. Number one, a launch of BRICS currency and a move away from the dollar. And at least that's what they've promised to countries like Saudi Arabia and Iran. But in this particular deal, there would still be a dollar, and they've been invited to join this new currency issuance that allegedly the Black Dragon, also known as the Yakuza, is going to issue. However, this is the same deep state, different color, different face, different country, but they don't have the capacity to issue this. And I know that, there's old text from the Japanese emperor that states in 1,000 years they'll be in control and you'll get your vengeance and, so on and so forth. And, Axis powers really won the war and we're in the wrong timeline. I don't know. But this also will fail. It's going to fail for a number of reasons. Number one, none of these people have passed Math 101. They are completely oblivious as to how to run a financial system, and that includes the Yakuza. They have donated a lot of money, a few million here, a few million there, in order to uphold their position as Black Dragon when everybody else went broke. I know they've given the Israelis some money for this war situation, that's happening there. They have thoroughly convinced the Mossad as their new face, for the Black Dragon, Black Sun. that the Palestinis and others that have had a lot of Middle Eastern influence are not going to get the job done, but they can, of course. And given the Mossad a little bit of cash, hence the uptick in the Middle East. It's been traced back to the Yakuza. And they really are writing a lot of checks that they can't cash. So when this gateway doesn't work out, I hope they have enough to keep funding the deep state. Ridiculous sums of money. And the numbers are huge. Again, they're trillions and trillions of dollars in order to have world domination, which, or insert other currency name here, which they don't have the capacity to fund. I mean, they've got billions for sure, but I don't think they have that much money. Now, could they hold on and hold up the world until they find something else? Until the Axis powers can win World War 75 or whatever number we're on now? No, I don't think that they could make it. They'd go broke probably by January, February. But, if they're okay with it, I'm okay with it. As a matter of fact, somebody, I don't know who she is, might have gotten a hold of some old, Omega lines somewhere and kind of took them over. I don't know who that could be, but they may have been leaking information out to when to expect the next gate and where y'all should go. Strategy is everything in warfare, isn't it? Wink, wink. Okay, mainstream media stuff. Okay, so BRICS, that explains the BRICS currency and the alleged crash of the U.S. markets and blah, 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 but, that's not going to happen. As for the 60-40 split that they have been promising the world and world domination of the dollar, that has made the Trump organization, because that's what we'll call it. We don't know what that is walking around. The Trump organization has agreed to publicly state a few things, which apparently is angering what little support they actually have in the movie we call politics. Number one, he has announced when he is selected or otherwise, that he will impose a 100% tariff on those countries that are threatening to ditch the dollar. 100% tariff. Wow, that's a big tariff, and that's going to harm global trade if that were to actually take place. Now, the reason why is because the Trump operatives think they're going to be bazillionaires, and their ego won't permit them to realize otherwise, and they believe they're going to be in control of 40% of the world's economies. It's probably not going to happen. Well, there's always hope, right? Always keep making deals between people that used to have power over something we know as the world government, and we'll just keep changing faces. This is what they do. They change faces. So if it's not the Japanese, then maybe they'll go to the Russians. If it's not the Russians, then it'll be the British. If it's not the British, then it'll be the Iranians. I don't know who's next on the list of people to fail, but, they got a few more countries they haven't fired up yet. They're order members in. So, the Italians failed. Okay, fine. Maybe they'll move to another face, a different color, different race. I don't know who's next in the game. But doesn't really matter to us because, they're just going to go round and round making all these backdoor deals and talking crazy things on TV. Next crazy thing coming out of the Trump organization. As I had told you, although they're talking about issuing paper currency as well, they're still going to push for a move to completely go digital with this currency. Now, they are talking about the fact that they feel they could go digital with the dollar in the U.S., probably most of North America, and also Western Europe. And that's where they would start. And then, of course, it would continue throughout the world until they do no longer need physical cash. And therefore, Trump has announced publicly on television that he is now going to be the king of crypto. Yeah, probably not so much so. And, of course, the more the Q people and the Trump operatives and whatever kind of spout out their crazy and they go around making all those deals as the new American Nazi Party, they really are just kind of sinking like a stone. And the good news is, they make a lot of promises in the course of doing this. They start these telethons, the Nazi telethon, and they go around and they start promising politicians, large corporations, BlackRock, all of these different big names we know, Johnson and Johnson, and so on and so forth, that there'll be huge payouts coming by this day for their public announcement that they are endorsing Trump for president. Now, when they don't pay, and then the next day comes and they don't pay, and the next day comes and they don't pay, and we inch closer and closer to the selection, if there is a selection this year, then the less support that they have. And people start walking away and people stop believing them. But of course, they come up with a new line of, well, it's not the Chinese anymore. And well, it's not the Germans anymore. And well, it's not the Amish anymore. And well, it's not the, whoever, the black nobility in Italy. It's not the Vatican. It's now the Japanese, and so everybody's like, oh, okay, well, you got somebody else to back you now. Well, and you can expect probably a huge fall over there in Japan in the next couple of days, probably by the end of the week. And we'll see who comes up next and says they have a line on a portal, that's going to open during the equinox. I don't know. I don't know what the next day is, honestly, and who the next face will be. But I'm sure we'll find out in the next couple days. Next, Dick Cheney. If you've been following us for a while, that Dick hasn't been around for quite some time. Dick had made a few mistakes over the years. Dick is the recipient of the Greater Israel Project. He is also the recipient of the plans to take over the entire Middle East. When I say he's the recipient, that means in the news and mainstream news, they call him the architect of the Iraqi war. Well, he's not the architect. He's just the recipient of somebody else's bright idea, which was endorsed by the world powers that be, that are not human, at that time, which a lot of money came out for, by the way. But Dick has come out and endorsed Kamala for president. He basically says that Trump is the greatest threat to the republic at this moment in time. And that comes from a diehard Republican and Bush's right-hand guy. Well, interesting that had happened, because that means that Dick's money, or whatever that is running around, or is probably on the order of the dragon in their Pindar ceremony. Now, if you've been following us for a while, you'll probably remember that a few years back, Dick also sat in the chair. This was probably about 5 or 6 years ago, something like that, and thought he was going to be promoted to Pindar. That was in 2019. When they had the Pindar meeting and they were still trying to select a new Pindar. Obama failed, Hillary failed, and all the other Pindars that came, selected Pindars that came before him. So he thought he'd throw in his hat in the ring, and he was promptly told that he didn't qualify. So I don't know if he's one of the golden booties that has yet to sit in the chair. I don't know. But we all know that's not Dick, so take a look at these pictures here. Dick definitely does not look like Dick anymore. So Dick here in the picture on your left was the picture of Dick before. In Dick, apparently, in his newest and latest photos, is Dick on the right. Clearly, his skull has shrunk by several inches. You can see that clearly in this photo. Also, his bone structure has changed tremendously. His upper lip is more protruding, and these are things that don't happen with age or weight loss. I mean, your skull does not shrink when you lose weight or you age. So the other thing is Dick has his left eye there due to his Vril incident, let's just say, is much lower than it is in the other picture. So these are clearly two different people. What can I say? It's just a movie, folks. You know, maybe the one that plays in the version 1 doesn't play in the sequel. So we have a new sequel of Dick Cheney and the movie Vice, if you've never seen it, where he claims to be the architect of this and architect of that and agrees to be the vice president at the time. And then we have this guy. I don't know who that is or what that is at this moment. So interesting events going on as far as the deep state is concerned. Now, Source has some other plans. Definitely some interesting plans that are still continuing to unfold as I talked about on Friday's news. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to talk to you about it more today or on Monday. Wednesday. What day is today? Sorry, guys. Today being Monday or on Wednesday. It looks like it's probably going to be more on Wednesday, but Source always has something up his sleeve when it comes to these things, and he is very busy creating a lot of new things, not only here on Earth but elsewhere. And the process appears to be going very well. My one ask was that you show everyone who you are, meaning that you're still here and you still exist. So, of course, 100% credit to Source, and I'm hoping that he has something very surprising and exciting that should happen in the near future. He kind of laughed at this little gateway situation, and I think he's got something in mind for a different kind of alignment that's probably going to happen. I think his meeting with himself went very well. Normally, around this time of year, there would be a meeting, as is with all equinoxes, between Source and anti-Source and neutral Source and, that kind of thing. I'm not going to call it a meeting. Nobody's sitting down at a table kind of thing, but it's a time when there is an alignment and an open line between all of them. And, a lot of times it kind of dictates, changes for the following year. But now Source is having a conversation with himself and with Earth. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of days with that. I'm really excited about it. Haven't really seen any problems or issues, but I just thought I needed to give you a little bit of the backstory that is creating a lot of the fear out there and the changes. Of course, if you're with one of these governments and you're wondering if, your plan is going to work out, or these guys that are calling you with their enormous egos trying to get all these operatives on board, and then you're going to know that by tomorrow morning that I'm right. I've been right many times over the last decade or so, and unfortunately I'll be right again with this one. Now, in the regular news, I guess you would say, in the moving forward section of our news, we successfully, as you know, if you're watching this, have launched our organic oils line, and they seem to be flying off the shelves for the last few days. I'm really excited to hear some feedback on what you think. It looks like some of the first orders have been delivered in the last couple of days, and I know that there's many out for delivery today, so I'm hoping that you really enjoy them as much as we do. I know that Sunny should be getting hers in the next couple of days too, so I'm excited to see what she says on hopefully by Wednesday's news. She receives them by then. And our marketplace is going well. We are discussing some new features and ways to have people take a look at all of your products and services. One of the things we are talking about is our marketing. So, as you know, we're using our little shop here, not just about the oils, but also using our little shop, using, I guess you would say, Amazon products and things like that to see how the marketing works. We want to be fully prepared with full marketing plans for all of your products throughout the internet. And we want to be able to give you our greatest returns on those things. So we've been kind of doing some things through the marketplace, obviously some of you that have been on there, but also we've been doing some things externally. And something interesting is happening, and I'm pretty happy with it. We'll see how consistent it stays before our launch. So we've been trying some different things with Google searches and Google ads and a few other things like that. And it appears right now we are at about a 25% return on our marketing. And what that means is it's not a dollar figure, although that will be a dollar figure for you and those of you that decide to put your products up on our marketplace. But what that means is for the amount of clicks or the amount of pass-throughs from different websites, different marketing, different ads, and different ways of doing things on social media, that 25% of the people that clicked through actually purchased the product. So that is extremely interesting because marketing on average, you can expect somewhere between a 2% to a 5% return, but I would say that has a lot to do with your target audience. So in other words, if you're selling reading glasses and, you put your ads up on a bunch of sites, that have to do with reading books or, any kind of situations where you think that people would need reading glasses, certain age-related things, that kind of thing. And you would get more clicks for that. But we've kind of developed our own little system. So it seems to be working wonderful. So I can't wait to share that with yourselves and all our vendors on our marketplace. So that is very exciting. We have also decided to do something really interesting, and that is to launch some virtual trade shows. Got a little bit of a kind of a small work up here we wanted to show you. But our virtual trade shows would be focused on, a theme. We could do something like promote your, home goods or something like that, or a food thing or farmers or whatever it is. But it's really neat how it looks when you're starting to walk through it. So it actually looks like you're going from booth to booth. And then, of course, each booth would have some kind of a video presentation and product presentation or those types of things. Or, look, you can buy this car or you can buy these tomatoes from this farmer, depending on what the theme is of the trade show. Now, if you've ever done a trade show, they're very, very expensive. And then, of course, people that go to trade shows spend a lot of money on hotels and traveling. But this is another way where we could do them more often, much less expensive than your attendance and buying a booth in your typical trade show. And you don't have the outlay of travel. So, it's not a substitute for meeting people in person. And I know that's the way it's always been done. But, this is another possible solution if we do it right, where you're able to showcase, your soaps that you might make in your kitchen. Otherwise it would cost you $1,000 for a booth and thousands of dollars to go to the organic trade show or whatever it is. And here, it's a minimal cost and your products can be featured. People can, meet you if you can actually be on there live on a virtual trade show, and you can kind of be sitting there at your booth with your soaps and you can present why people want to buy your soaps. If you don't want to do that, you can record a little video that people can play 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you can even notify people when you're going to be there live. So really cool way to do things. Like I said, this is going to be something completely different. It's going to blow the other marketplaces out of the water. And our marketing is amazing. So we're really here to support, both buyers and sellers and, help showcase the products and new technologies and all kinds of things. So, of course, I'm really excited about it. This is my new child. I've already given birth to one child last week. That's the oils, but we'll be able to give birth to our next child in November. So, we're giving birth a lot lately these days, but it's months and months and months and months of work on not only my part, but also our team's part to get these things up and running and do them right. So I'm really grateful for all those that are participating in changing our world, connecting people, bringing people together. That's what we do. And I'm just grateful for everyone's participation and meeting a lot of wonderful people along the way that have helped us through our journey and make our dreams come to reality. So that's probably going to be really important. There's some talk that's also kind of happening behind the scenes where governments, and there's been more than one, that are asking us, well, we can't just all die. There's got to be something in the interim. There's got to be a transition period. It took us millions of years to get here, and it's going to take us millions of years to get out of it. No, absolutely not. That is not the case. If they think, then they ask us what our ideas are, as far as the care organization for a transition. My response to all those people is, number one, we over here are not in trouble. Meaning, yes, there are humans and people that are struggling in this world, and I understand that. I understand that, as things change, like we talked about in the news and the regular news here, or our regular news, I should say, which is far from regular. We talked about Volkswagen going under, people losing jobs, those kind of things. And so that's a very real situation that is happening. But my response to the governments is we are not the ones in trouble, meaning we're doing okay on our own. We are coming up with new ways of doing things, ways of getting around you, ways of getting around your militaries worldwide, ways of getting around your operatives and whoever else is on your side waiting for the next gate to open. We are moving forward without you like you don't exist. And we're going to continue to do that. Now, however, since these people have never, kept their word in any way, shape, or form, are they planning on doing that now? It doesn't look like it. Depending on whatever their selections do, I don't know. But, if they're looking for some kind of transition or something, then they're going to have to come up with a plan. Because right now I don't see the purpose. It's kind of like when you're you're thinking you might want to buy a car. You go into the car dealership and, maybe you take a test drive or two or something, and, but you're not really looking. And then somehow, some way you end up trading in your car and walking out with a new car. You walk out with that new car because some sales guy came up to you and convinced you that you desperately need this new car. And that they can do it at the right price and the right, terms and the right conditions, and you could lease it, you can buy it, and, they convinced you through the test drive and how comfy it is and well it drives and whatever, and then you kind of go to sit back in your old car and you're like, well, geez, this doesn't smell like the new car, it doesn't look like the new car, and you then eventually convince yourself. Right? But this salesperson was critical in convincing you to buy the new car that you had no intention of buying on that day. And that same goes for, something when you walk in to buy a television set. Maybe you're looking for something in the future, or a birthday gift for somebody, and you end up walking out with your own new television set. That's because the salespeople have given you enough good information about the product you're looking at so that you'll buy it. Now, I am not looking to buy a used car. I'm not in the market for a car. I probably couldn't afford a car if I wanted to, a new car of any type. But I'm looking at the government's much the same way. I don't need a government. I don't need a car. I don't need anything. And they're supposed to be the ones that are convincing us that we need them. In some way. Of course, they throw out the pitch, well, many people will get hurt if there's no transition and it's a hard fall. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. I think we planned for that because we figure you're going to go around in a circle looking for a gate or a planet alignment or something for probably the next several thousand years all by yourselves over there until your circle that you're going around in gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and then eventually it disappears. So, we've kind of had to move on from the world government folk, and in turn the governments that work for them, because we don't really see a solution there in any way. So really, if governments are wanting to look at some kind of transition, they're going to have to sell me, and it's going to be a hard sell. You're looking at a free new car, possibly an entire fleet of free new cars. And this is a metaphor, of course. I don't want a new car. I don't want a car at all. I'm good. But what I'm saying is they're going to have to come up with some serious sales pitch, for us, the people, to determine whether or not we should have a transition. I understand programs and have accounted for these things like Social Security, and retirement pay for teachers. And this is not just in the U.S., this is around the world, and government pensions and these kinds of things all have to be looked at because the government does provide a lot of services to a lot of people. Right now, states are probably going to go far after or a ways after the federal governments do, and that's states or provinces, wherever you are. So we can probably continue to see fire departments and those kinds of things for a while, until we can replace them with a new way of doing things that's more efficient. We keep sending these men and women into these buildings. Why have we not used drones for that? We could use drones with a heavy payload and water and whatever else we need to do to put out a fire. There's probably some kind of an organic fire retardant material we can drop on said building that is going to be non-caustic to the humans that are living in it. Of course, these people do go into the buildings and save lives, so there might still be that. But, putting out fires, big fire trucks, water, hoses and all those things that we see, around. I mean, there's much more efficient ways of doing that. And we can have trained firefighters that can fly drones in and, put this material to put the fire out in there and that kind of stuff. I mean, there's so many different things that we can do in our world, things we never even think about doing. But yet we still keep doing things the way we did hundreds, if not thousands of years ago, because the people that were running this planet are running it the same way they always did, but they didn't actually run it. That's the problem. See, they're still waiting for some alien race demons or otherwise to come here and help them. Again, they got a savior complex over there. They really, really do. And they say we have a savior complex. It's kind of funny, really, when you look at it that way. They're the ones waiting for something or someone or some AI or something to come save them. We are on our side are not waiting for anybody, and we are continuing to move forward to live our best lives. And eventually the things that we do will spread throughout the world. We've already been, I'm going to say dancing around with some people that are in the medical industry that let's just say they're open-minded. Maybe they do a lot of research themselves, and the possibility of taking plant terpenes to the next level. Creating hybrids, different things, even for pain. So there's a lot of discussions going on behind the scenes about how to best present this to the average everyday person, who might be stuck on whether it's an antidepressant or, it's a painkillers and they can't get off, or, there has to be some kind of substitutes for these things now and in the future. And also, there's a number of different things out there that actually help with even addiction that are organic, they're natural, they block those receptors in the brain, or, help them wake up gently where you're not going through some kind of a detox, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot that can be done in the future, using different forms of natural organic medicine. So, we're dancing around a little bit. We're still having a little bit of a debate as to whether or not that's possible. But we'll see, we'll see how that goes in the future. But again, we're here creating pathways for energy to flow, aka currency. We are creating new ways of doing things that will help bring the world forward, even if it's just saving money for the marketplace or getting your Social Security check from a different place in the near future. But as far as transitions are concerned, yeah, in the past I used to think, well, that would be nice to maintain governments and, have a transition. But now I don't think so. Nah. They continue to call us and lie constantly, or try to use people's words and twist them around and say that we agreed to this or we might agree to that. And that's all a lie. So if you are indirectly and you are with the government and you are hearing that the care organization, Kimberly Gogan or otherwise, is going to be interested in funding you, or that these people work with us, I can tell you right now they don't. Because I have received no information from anybody anywhere about any kind of interim anything at all. I'm just hearing back chatter and people talking to people saying that we're interested. No, really not. Still not. Nope. At this moment in time, you are going to have to sell me like you're selling me the reason why you should live, because I don't really see it at this moment. And thus far, nobody's bothered to sell us anything. Instead, they would like to pick my brain and try to figure out what CARE is up to. But you know what? I put out little bits and pieces in the news for you and not for them. So none of this in any way, shape, or form is going to tell them where we're going, when we're going to get started with certain things or not started with certain things that can be world changing. I kind of leave the world changing events up to source and just do our parts. And what I mean by that is that occasionally I'll get the call and, or you need to do this today and you need to look at that today. And, we do what we got to do. And, here we are, step by step, bit by bit. And to the people of the deep state or world governments or governments plural or whatever you are, the comments also I'm hearing are things like, well, it took us millions of years to gain this much control. Number one, the people that are remaining here didn't gain anything. They followed orders only. That's what they did. They had no creative thoughts in their head, nor were they permitted to have a creative thought in their head. If they did, it came from an AI that implanted it in their brain, and they didn't create anything. What you did is you received orders every year, passed down the food chain from some being somewhere, and you followed them, and you were given lots of money to do that. That's pretty much what you did. Now, as far as taking millions or even billions of years to get to where Earth is today, to the state that she was in, time is irrelevant. Just because some things used to happen every few thousand years or few 100,000 years or whatever, doesn't mean they can still happen. And when you're dealing with the creator of the universe on behalf of all of humanity and Earth and the universe itself and recreating in his likeness or its likeness, things can change in a split second. They can change in a week. Look how far we have come in the last couple of years. You're starting to see things crumble, all over the world. Their corporations are failing. Things are changing. There is no crashing of this and crashing of that happening, and they're just rotating people over there that think they should be in charge. So I want to, welcome you in the last week or so, a few days, I should say, to World War 75, where the Axis powers think they're going to win. So by Wednesday, they'll probably know they didn't. God bless them. But more importantly, it's about the fear that they're putting out there throughout the internet. That I bring these things up to tell you the entire story so that, not only that and talk about ways we're going forward. So, I guess it needed to be addressed. Why are these things coming up? Things you don't understand. Well, now you understand what's happening. So, onward and upward on our side. Hoping to have some more really good news for you on Wednesday. And I'll give you the final tally count of the golden booties in the chair. See how that worked out and what the Yakuza's up to then. Them and the American Nazi group. We'll see. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful Monday. Hope you had an amazing weekend. And looks like it's turning to fall around here. So if you're going through a change of season, whether that be spring or fall, things should certainly be changing in your area too. So I hope you enjoy the next couple of days and your change of season. And we'll talk to you again on Wednesday.